This doesn't look like much, but watch what it becomes. Today, I'm turning this olive wood into a handcrafted fountain pen. Let's get started. I start by cutting the piece in half. One part will become the cap and the other the body of the pen. Each piece has its own role and both need to fit together perfectly in the end. I mount the first blank on the lathe. This will be the cap. Carefully, I begin drilling the center, first with a 12mm drill bit to create space for the brass tube. Then I switch to a 10.5mm bit for the upper section of the pen. Everything has to be precise here, because even a small mistake will affect the final fit. Now that the holes are ready, it's time to glue in the brass tubes. These will form the core of the pen and give it the strength it needs. Before that, I lightly sand them to help the glue bond better with the wood. Then I apply a small amount of glue and carefully slide the tubes into place. At this point, I make sure everything is nicely centered and aligned, because that will make the next steps much easier. You might notice a bit of noise in the background. That's my wife working next to me. She's making a couple of beautiful ballpoint pens at the same time. You can actually see them in the background, and honestly, her work is amazing. If you'd like to take a closer look, you can find them on our website. The link is in the description below. Once the glue is fully set, I move on to trimming the blanks. For this, I'm using a tool from Axminster, which works really well for this step. The goal here is to clean up the ends and make sure they sit perfectly flush with the bushings. That fit is important because it defines the final shape of the pen. So I take my time and go through all four ends one by one. Nice and clean, ready for the next step. All the tools I'm using in this video are linked in the description below. I'm also using a record power mandrel for this setup. You'll find it linked in the description as well. It's very stable on the lathe, which helps reduce vibration during turning. Now I mount everything onto the lathe together with the pen blanks and the bushings. The bushings define the final shape, and they're different for every type of pen. Once everything is in place, I can start turning. This is where the transformation really begins, slowly shaping the blank and bringing the pen to life. As I start shaping the blanks into smooth cylinders, this is where things really come together. The rough edges are gone, and the final form slowly starts to appear. At this stage, I usually let the wood guide me a little, adjusting the shape as I go. I'm curious, do you prefer a more classic, straight design, or something a bit more curved and organic, like the ones my wife is making? You've already seen her work earlier, and she has a great eye for elegant shapes. Let me know in the comments. It's always interesting to see what you like. We actually have quite a few handmade pens like this available on our website. Each one is unique, made from different types of wood with its own character. So if you'd like to see more, or maybe find one that fits your style, you're welcome to take a look. You'll find the link in the description below. For the final passes, I switch to a Skew Chisel. At this point, I move from a rounded skew to a flat one. It gives me more control and helps refine the shape more precisely. With a few clean cuts, the form is finished. Now it's time for sanding. I start at 240 grit and go up to 400 dry sanding. After that, I apply a CA finish. I'm using thin and medium CA glue from Starbond. I build it up in layers, 3 coats of thin and 3 coats of medium. In between, I use a hardener to cure each layer quickly. This creates a strong protective surface with a deep glossy finish. Once everything is fully cured, I sand it again back to 240 up to 400 dry, and then I continue with wet sanding from 600 all the way to 5000 grit. This step takes time, but it brings everything together. The surface becomes perfectly smooth and the grain really starts to shine. This is where the character of the material comes to life. We make pens from all kinds of wood, each one with its own look and feel. Sometimes we combine wood with epoxy, which creates completely unique patterns that you simply can't repeat. And that's the beauty of handmade work. Every piece is slightly different. Unlike mass-produced pens, where everything looks exactly the same, a handmade pen has its own identity. You can feel both in the look and in the hand. And if you ever wanted to create something of your own, you can create your own piece through our website. We also offer custom orders so you can design your own pen or any other project exactly the way you want it. As I move into wet sanding, the surface starts to feel completely different, smoother, softer, almost glass-like. At this stage, it's all about patience. Each grit removes the marks from the previous one, slowly refining the surface to a perfect finish. This is where the quality really shows. You can see it in the reflection and feel it under your fingers. Once I'm happy with the surface, I move on to polishing, using a polishing compound to bring out that final shine. This is the last step before the pen comes together. For polishing, I'm using a compound from Dane Epoxy Hards. I've been working with them for a while now, and I have to say, their products are excellent. From epoxy resins to pigments and a wide range of molds for different projects, they really offer everything you need for this kind of work. I go over the surface twice just to make sure the finish is perfectly smooth and evenly polished. At this point, the shine really starts to come through, and the pen is finally ready for assembly. With all 4 ends sanded and finished, it's finally time to bring everything together. This is always the most satisfying part of the process. Up until now, it's just been separate pieces of wood, tools, and small details. But here, everything starts to become one. I begin assembling the pen, slowly pressing each component into place. Every part has its position and everything needs to fit perfectly. A clean, precise fit makes all the difference in the final result. As the pen comes together, you can really start to see the transformation. The grain of the olive wood, now fully revealed, the smooth surface refined through hours of sanding, and that deep, glossy finish catching the light from every angle. This is the moment where the whole process pays off, from a small, overlooked piece of wood to something functional, something elegant, something that will be used every day. And that's what I love most about this craft. Taking something simple and turning it into something meaningful. Every pen we make follows a similar journey, but no two are ever the same. Each piece of wood is different. Each grain tells its own story, and every small decision along the way shapes the final result. That's the difference between handmade and something made in a factory. Mass-produced pens are identical, perfect, but without character. But a handmade pen has life in it. You can see it, you can feel it, and over time, it becomes part of your daily routine. Something personal, something yours. And that's exactly what we try to create. Not just an object, but something with a story behind it. If you'd like to own a piece like this, or have one made just for you, you can visit our website, where you'll find a collection of our handmade work. From fountain pens to ballpoint pens and other unique wooden pieces, everything is crafted with the same attention to detail. We also offer custom orders, so you can choose the wood, the shape, and create something truly your own, a piece that no one else has. If you enjoy this process, I'd really appreciate your support. Leave a like, share this video with someone who appreciates handmade work, and subscribe for more projects like this. It truly means a lot and helps us keep creating. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.